We start with one dice. So please position everybody your pieces on the start. So we start again now. So if you get a 4, a 5, or you cannot get a 7, that's not good news.
I'm starting.
That's not good news.
5. Okay, go back. Go back to 4. Go back to 4.
And you go back, and you have to answer an ethic question.
5 seconds.
So choose one.
Yeah.
Okay, one, and read it in front of everybody.
Okay.
Happy with that partnership.
Is this the Bible?
I'm starting. As the head of the internal audit department, you are considering some good practices to implement to make sure the principle of objectivity is maintained. Select the best statement from the below. A. Train staff regularly so awareness about potential threats to independence can be avoided. B. Make sure you check each time a new staff member joins the audit department that there is no prior conflict of interest. C. Introduce written annual statements by staff indicating there is no present conflict of interest. D. All of the above should be implemented.
1,
2, 3,
4, 5, 6.
They have no answer. Go back.
Do we have an answer?
There are 5 seconds.
Okay, they're the first team I'm going to round the time.
Let's, please.
Okay.
It is not correct.
Okay, over. What's the answer? D. It's the correct answer.
2 minutes.
Okay, good. Next.
That one.
Next is you.
The third.
One next.
Go back.
Okay, so 5 and you move back. Now you have to
I think the fourth one, you have to go back from the beginning, or not?
Okay, please, we are reading a question.
Okay, the IIA Code of Ethics speaks about avoiding the following threats in action and in appearance. A. Conflict of interest, impairment of professional judgment, unbiased assessment. Conflict of interest, impairment of professional judgment, intimidation.
Intimidation.
Self-interest, impairment of professional judgment, intimidation. Okay, our answer is A.
Okay, what number
A.
question do you have?
14.
14. Checking the answer. You're right. Okay, so you're safe. Okay. So 5. Oh, sorry. So you have to choose a question.
Please read.
At the head of the internal audit department, it is your responsibility to communicate directly with the audit committee, in brackets, or the head of your organization if the audit committee does not exist, and report any interference in determining the scope of internal auditing, performing the work of communicating the results. True, false.
8. Answer is 8.
Everybody agrees?
Yes.
Okay, so I wish you all the best luck. You have a 3 and
Maybe some other from your group.
a 6 is a problem.
1. 3.
Okay.
Blue.
Okay, so now you have to answer another question.
You and your colleague are both members of the internal audit team of a large municipality. While traveling home, you actively discuss together in the bus, mentioning details, names, findings related to the procurement and contacting, and other random people may overhear your conversation. A. There is nothing wrong with this, as those people in the bus are not proficient in the technical issues being discussed. B. The people in the bus are entitled to hear because all information on the use of taxpayers' money is public. This is a breach of the code of ethics as internal auditors are required to keep information confidential unless disclosure is required by law. This is particularly wrong. The internal auditors should keep information confidential. But the other people in the bus are also to blame, as they should not listen to other people's conversation.
Listen. D.
That's the right answer?
Yeah.
Does everybody agree? Yes. This D is provoking, but we're going to settle for C. 1, 2, yes. Right.
czytasz inşallah.
Okay. That's a long question. You are the head of internal audit department that has another 3 certified internal auditors. In principle, you encourage them to maintain their professional competences and engage in mandatory continuous professional development. However, due to the very busy internal audit period, you have been unable to approve the time request to attend the continued professional development training. You have told them that you will certify that when they have attended the required training. You have also agreed with them that they will catch up with the training hours next year when the busy period is over. Which statement most accurately describes the situation? Then A. The head of internal audit is in breach of the code of ethics for providing false statement. B. Both the head of internal audit and the other internal auditors are in breach of the code of ethics. C. Only the 3 certified internal auditors are in breach of the code of the ethics, as they have not maintained their obligation for continuing professional development. Which means that only head of internal audit. A.
Okay, let me check that because I'm not sure. Does anybody else have a different opinion?
B.
Yes, I would have to agree with that.
So
Let me check the answer because
they failed.
I want to be objective. Yes, it is B. And I will tell you why it is B. It is because they have agreed to this. So they are consenting to something that is obviously in breach of the code, and everybody who does internal audit here can clarify are subject to the code. Okay.
So what is the penalization for
No, actually I think it's one back or two back? Two back. So I'm sorry,
Maybe
group...
Okay.
No question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Be careful, just take one.
You are a junior member of the internal audit team and are performing an internal audit for the first time. You notice some unusual transactions which you believe are connected with money laundering. The appropriate action is report the client to the authorities immediately, decline to perform the internal audit further, and dissociate yourself with the engagement, report the findings to your supervisor and the head of internal audit and ask them to review your work
C.
and advise on appropriate
C.
further
Definitely
action. C.
Okay, anybody else a different opinion? Good, that's the correct one. So this one?
Yes.
1, 2, 3. You have to answer a question to be safe.
You are the head of internal audit and have been asked to provide assurance services for an area where you have previously provided consultancy services. A. This is acceptable according to the IA Code of Ethics and the International Standards for the Professional Practice of Internal Auditing. B. This is not acceptable according to the IA Code of Ethics and the International Standards. C. This is acceptable under the IA Code of Ethics and II standards, provided the nature of the consulting did not impair the objectivity and individual objectivity is managed when assigning resources to the engagement.
1, 2,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Robert Lewandowski.
10, 11.
See, which one? Okay, let me check.
Still that's wrong because it's more than 5 seconds.
Okay, this was a very difficult question.
Yeah.
Everybody agreed that it is A.
No.
It's not?
No,
What do you think that is?
They were in dilemma, and I think it's not.
You think it is which
But who remembers it was very long
It was,
case.
yes, but I'm sure that it's not the
I think it's
right.
it has C regarding to the new standard.
Yeah, new standard, right. Yeah.
Yes. So sorry about that.
Go back.
You have to move on to
Two back.
Two backs. It was 2.
two, then you have to answer
So
another.
you have to answer.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, you have another chance.
To correct.
Because we moved 2 back and then 1 back and good.
Ha! We are really lucky. The same question.
Something's fishy. It's not something fishy. It is.
You are the head of internal audit and have been asked to provide assurance services for an area where you had responsibility in the previous year. That's something similar. A, this is acceptable according to II code and international standards. B, this is not acceptable according to the II code and II standards. This is acceptable under the II code of ethics and international standard, provided objectivity was not impaired. Actually, the answer is be careful.
One,
And have been asked to provide assurance for an area where you had responsibility and
three,
it's not acceptable. The answer is
4.
exactly. That's the difference in the question.
This is not acceptable.
This is about consultancy services. This is about area of responsibility. You cannot audit yourself, right?
Yes.
Okay.
This is
Your
not
work,
acceptable.
Good job.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Let's move on.
Okay, we are.
We will finish this game at 4.
No, I have another trick. I have another dice, and I can speed it up whenever I want. So let's do another round.
Throwing with two
and then
dices?
do 2 dices, and you will get very fast to the end.
Okay.
4.
Okay, forward.
Oh.
Okay, good job.
Impairment to independence and objectivity may include situations where there is competing professional or personal interests, scope limitations or restrictions of access. B. Situations in which an internal auditor provides assurance services for an activity for which he had internal audit responsibility in the previous year. All of the above.
B.
B. What?
Well, everybody agrees with that? B. Everybody agrees with B?
B.
Any challenging of this response? Okay, that's right. It's B. Let's move on. Now it's your
Thank everybody.
That is successful.
Yes.
Slow but sure.
4.
That's right.
Okay, you're safe. Tell me, are you going to remember now this question that you got wrong? Is it in your mind now?
This question.
Before, the round before.
Regarding to the new standard.
Are you ever going
not acceptable to the head of internal audit to work in the same field as he to the audit the same field where he was responsible in the previous year.
Yes, and the question that you answered the wrong
Before.
answer, do you remember the right question, answer now? Why I'm asking you this? I'm trying to bring out the point. that when you're competing or you're playing and you have a dilemma and you do a question wrong or a question right, it's going to stay here.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to, the point I'm trying to make. And that's why, we were talking about teaching ethics in a classroom where you go through things. It may stay, it may not stay. But if you put it in this kind of way, you're always going to remember the question you did wrong, or you're always going to remember why somebody else didn't win, or stuff like that. So that's the point also in maybe this exercise. So who do we have now on the list?
Useful to go.
Okay, let's move with 2 dice just to speed it up. Very good. Okay. So 2 dice.
3.
No.
Okay, safe again. Oh my God, we just asked a question. 2 dice.
You are lucky people.
Okay.
Yes, we are. Yes, you are.
Five. Oh, good.
And it's what piece?
This
The
one.
violet.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Go
Okay.
back.
We have a question.
Question.
Okay.
Go back.
Okay. Our team. You are the party and engaged in conversation with the fellow colleagues from the Internal Audit Department about some conditions present at the government agency you work at. After a few drinks, the conversation moves to discuss information that has not yet been made public by the agency. Your conversation is overheard by many other people at the party. Which of the following statement is true? It's nearly the same with these.
Yeah.
Okay. You are in breach of the code. You are in breach of the code since you have not taken due care to protect confidentiality client information in social circumstances. You are not in breach of the code because you are discussing things, information with colleagues who also works for the client. And C, you are in breach of the code because attending parties is not professional behaviors for the internal audit. Okay.
Okay, so it's C, huh?
No.
Oh, it's A, okay.
Oh,
Which color are you?
Pink.
Pink, okay, 8.
Wait a minute.
wow.
The first. Choose them.
The Finance Department Director of the Ministry, where you are the head of internal audit, has not been happy with some of the findings and has asked that these be dismissed as inaccurate. He has used intimidation and some younger team members have become frightened to perform their internal audit work. Your response as the head of the internal audit should be immediately withdraw from the internal audit engagement, as this is highly unethical behavior for the Finance Department Director. Provide a copy of the Code of Ethics to the Finance Department Director, or C, remind the Finance Department Director of your obligations as internal auditor about the principle of objectivity, and if the intimidation continues, escalate the discussion with the Audit Committee and Minister.
C.
Okay. I was tempted by B, but C is probably right. Bravo, good job. You stay safe.
Potrzeба Arman.
This one, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the question.
Always questions.
Okay, I suggest somebody else that rolls the dice next time.
You have a professor in your group.
Yeah.
All of the below are circumstances that create a self-interest trait, except. Please, can you read this?
The head of internal audit is hired and removed by joint decision of the head of human resources and the head of the government agency. The salary of the head of the unit of the internal audit is decided by the head of the government agency. Appropriate channels are in place to report in appropriate scope of resources invitation to the audit committee or the CHU in the Ministry of Finance. Human resources and legal department provide recommendation to management on the internal audit charter.
Anybody else has a different opinion, or is it probably C? It is C. Okay. Good.
If it is not C, we will give another chance.
Wow.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Ladies,
Another 11.
ladies. Brothers.
Okay.
Thank you.
1, 2.
Penalty. Kick off.
This is in breach of the code, definitely.
Okay, ladies. It's ladies.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
You have a question for sure.
Good.
7.
We are gonna go to
Yes, first time.
Third night,
First time without question.
lucky night.
We had to buy tickets from the hotel.
Oh, again.
No, same. 7. Kick off. 2 times.
We're not.
More easy.
Easy.
Hello, human beings.
Stop there, say. But no questions.
Reviewing is one of the most important things in
Monitoring.
Wow.
28.
Go ahead.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Give us a question.
Please go ahead.
Okay, management has informed the head of internal audit that this year, due to the declining budget situation, less funds will be available for internal audit. You, as the head of internal audit department, decide what the best action might be. A, cut the training budget for the professional working under your supervision and consider that they undergo CPD next year. This will not be very damaging as they attend training last year. B, remind management that the internal audit should have adequate resources to function adequately and raise the issue with the audit committee in the case necessary. B, okay, contact the local internal audit association and seek ad hoc opportunity to train some of the staff and take no training for yourself as you are head of it. Already well qualified.
C.
BBA.
Okay, B.
B, correct. Anybody challenging that? No.
They came in.
Okay. Or something.
31.
Yes. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. I'm gonna read it.
We need 10.
Okay. Identify false statements in the context. False statement. False. In the context of the IIA Code of Ethics, internal auditors shall continually improve their proficiency and the effectiveness and quality of their services. B. Only undertake continuing professional development when it does not disrupt the work of the internal audit department. C. Engage in those services for which there is necessary knowledge, skills and experience. And D. Shall perform the internal audit in accordance with international standards for the professional practice on internal auditing.
Anybody challenging B?
False.
Anybody challenging B?
False statement. Be aware of
That's correct.
the question.
Yeah. Who's now? Okay, let's see if Black
Miss 11. 7. Good.
Oh, black hole.
Actually,
Black hole.
Okay. In the context of the requirements of the codes of ethical principles identifying the least accurate statement, internal auditors should perform their work with honesty, diligence, and responsibility. Internal auditors must respect and contribute to the legitimate and ethical objectives of the organization. Internal auditors shall not accept anything that may impair or presume to impair their professional judgment. Internal auditors shall report immediately to the respective authorities any management non-compliance observed during the course of the internal audit engagement.
You have least one, it's B, I think.
Yes,
5, 4.
Internal auditors must be
The least one. The least one has to be B.
They have another question.
The wrong is back to.
they're right.
You're safe.
Try.
Eight is bad?
Black hole.
Okay. So what does it mean?
Six
back.
No.
Six back. You have to count 6 back. This
1,
black
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
12 number.
You are lucky. With 1.
I'm sorry about that. Sorry about that. Okay.
Just no fault. Yeah.
Wow. 10.
Count wrong. I think this is
Pink.
Pink 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay.
We are not afraid of questions, so.
someone else.
Okay. You are a junior internal auditor and have been asked to join a tender evaluation panel in the organization you work for in order to bring additional independence and objectivity to the selection process. During the course of the evaluations, you observe that a few minor irregularities take place that make you unable to conclude that a transparent and fair evaluation process is being undertaken if they are not rectified.
I think this is.
The best course of action is A. Discuss the issue with the head of the internal audit department and raise a written concern to the evaluation panel head to correct the irregularities in this and future proceedings. Do nothing. These irregularities will not affect the ultimate section. And C. disassociate yourself from the evaluation process and demand that the management immediately. Junior, you have been asked to join tender evaluation panel.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Because we are junior, we have no idea.
-2.
Anybody objecting A?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
They are first.
4, 6. Okay.
Okay.
3, 4, 5, 6. What's up, Arman?
Okay, are you P? Are you P? No. You are
We are the last one.
This is becoming dangerous. Really? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
I missed.
Znači ga ona razliku da se.
Seçmek ister misin? Would you like to? No.
We need a 7.
Question 22. As recently appointed head of the internal audit department of an organization, you are asked to perform certain consultancy service for which you lack adequate competences. The best course of action in line with the IIA code is A. Perform the consultancy service and learn as you do the work, because you cannot show weakness that your knowledge in the specific areas is lacking. B. Delegate most of the works to more junior members of the team and supervise them periodically. C. Inform management that skills in this area lack internally and recommended that an external provider consultant be engaged to assist in this area. C.
Anybody objecting to C? No.
No.
I'm coming to my number.
Okay.
It's okay.
No, it was our turn. We played it. Almost there. Wherever you were.
Don't miss your turn.
You see where we are?
No, I'm too well. We were too fast.
3, 5, 5.
Question.
This is really terrible. I lost and weapon.
It means that I like reading, yeah? Okay. Local regulation and laws. Please.
May I have your attention, please?
Okay. Local regulation and laws have certain requirements for internal auditors, which are stricter than the EEA code of ethics. In these circumstances, internal auditors are allowed to follow the requirement of EEA code of ethics. True or false? So there are some rules of regulation within the
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, 0, 0.
-1, -2.
-11, -12.
I said it's dangerous.
False. Okay.
Okay, you need the black hole.
Oh.
7. Okay. 7. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. Okay, 2 more.
Then I will not leave the black hole.
Let's see.
What will happen if they have 8 or 9? For example,
We need a 7. If we get 12, for example.
No, we need to cross the finish line. So for next time, if they get a 2 and above, they win.
Yeah. Otherwise you can play endless.
You need to watch in the line of ethics. So another 9. You need the black more than 2. Okay, more than 2.
6.
Ne može biti jedan. That's because you are the best. Yes. Yeah. You have the professor and the vice president.
Accepting contribution in kind of from auditors, such as gift and lunches, is not problem as long as small gifts are acceptable if given to all members of the internal audit department in the same time. Business lunches are considering acceptable. None of the above is true, as auditors must maintain objectives in appearance and in action.
Yes. See, Jerka said that is to any internal auditors not allowed to accept anything, even a glass of wine.
No.
Okay, we are just discussing.
Only what we
wrong answer. Business lunches, as far as I understand, are acceptable.
Yes.
Yes.
I eat business lunches with clients.
Business lunches or
Business lunch
on expensive
no
location.
expensive.
We are missing some information here.
Yes.
It's not business lunch, just business lunch, but it might be very expensive, more expensive than small gift. In the in first alternative is small gift are acceptable for everybody.
We are not accepting.
But I think the C is more logical in this context.
The C is maybe if you have some rules that are strict imposed in your own, but in general.
If we have an agenda to discuss in the business lunch, it's business lunch. We are discussing.
But we are not the businessmen.
Yes.
We are not the businessmen. We are advisors.
Yes.
No. Write down, and that is the C. In our country.
One example, like you are invited to discuss matters that was presented, and they are ordering like pizza, and they are sharing. So what are we going to do? Are we going to what? I mean, this is a business lunch when you discuss a topic, as you say. So that's from that perspective. Apparently, it's very important to understand the substance. Is it expensive lunch on the but this is about business. But this is about business lunch.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. You have to go. No, you stay where you are. Okay, let's go ahead. Stay where you are. Actually, yes, I have to go one.
Yeah.
So maybe you will get the cert. Let me prepare the certificate.
Okay, are you ready?
With 6. It has to be a 1. So that's impossible.
Carefully.
No, it's not fair.
Question 8. As a reward for as a reward for a successful season of the ministry, the minister has asked all senior officials of the ministry to accompany him and his wife skiing and has offered skiing and offered accommodation at his mountain house.
This is true.
You, as the head of the internal audit department, have also received an invitation. A. Accept the invitation. Go and have a fun weekend. B. Accept the invitation as long as it's a usual practice that takes place each year. C. Decline the invitation as it's in the conflict with the code.
It's a tricky, huh?
That is good, but finish.
0, 1, 2, 0, 0, 0. Minus 100.
Minus 100.
You say
Minus million.
C.
That respected the rules.
Does anybody challenge C?
Anyone? Yes.
No, I would say
Everything.
Yes, yes. Correct.
Yeah, it might be challenges. It might be challenges while they mention that it's usually for everyone.
No cheating.
yes. Is it C? So no fun for you, ladies.
7.
Because we give one answer.
The group of questions.
Yes.
Okay, after years of trying, you finally got another internal audit job in your dream company. Before you leave your current employee, what you should do? A. Copy all working papers, methodologies, and report because you may use some of them again in your new job.
It is.
B.
Don't read them.
Copy only materials you have developed yourself while working overtime. And C. Pack and take away only personal belongings and files.
I think A.
Okay, if you want to
Only personal.
I did. You asked
Okay. So that's it.
That's it.
That's it. I'm so sorry, guys, for you.
So, congratulations.
Well deserved.
Congratulations. The certificates. Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Congratulations.